I think we are live now. Hello, hello, welcome. I'm Hunter Clark Fields, and all right, I think we're going. Hi, I'm Hunter Clark Fields. Welcome to this special live training, calling it the Fresh Start Mindful Parenting Fresh Start for 2021. Goodness knows we need a fresh start. So if you are here live, say hello in the chat below. And for those who don't know me, I'm Hunter Clark Fields, Mindful Mama Mentor. I help smart, thoughtful parents stay calm and connected and raise smart, confident kids or kind, thoughtful kids. We want to think about that. So I'm also the author of Raising Good Humans. I am host of the Mindful Mama podcast, and I am creator of Mindful Parenting. And we're going to be doing some stuff right here from Mindful Parenting today. So I'm so glad you are here. Hi Shannon, hi Tina. People are here. Say hello. Yay. So good to see you. So I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. We're going to hang out live for about 15 minutes or so. So we will dive right in. You may need a pen and paper later, and it's a great idea to close the other tabs that are on your computer so that you can be really present, right? So that you can stop and learn and take in as much as you possibly can, and that to be able to do that means to be able to really be present. So let's start by stopping. So maybe inhale, roll your shoulders up by your ears. Exhale them back and down. Put both feet on the ground and close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Now let's take a deep breath into the belly, the chest, all the way up. And exhale out a sigh. And again, take a deep breath into the belly, to the chest, all the way up to the top of your head. And let out a sigh. And then just for a moment, maybe putting a hand to your heart, other hand to your belly, just taking a moment to just check in and feel your breathing. And may this session be an offering of the heart from me to you and you to me and from all of us to our families, our communities, and the world, because as we create more peace in ourselves, we create more peace for everyone. All right, so it is. So welcome. Say hello in the chat if you are here live, or if you're watching replay, feel free to say hello too. And like I said, today we're going to talk about why your child doesn't listen to you. Yes, why don't they listen? If you have asked yourself that, just put a 1 in the chat. If you have said, why don't they listen to you? If this is one of the most frustrating things that we deal with as parents, if you're with me there. So we're going to talk about why. You're going to learn why they don't listen and why isn't working and what you should do instead. And then I'm also going to give you a practice to help you bring some awareness into your life around this. So you are going to leave with some practical tools today for sure. So yes, 1, seeing some ones. Hi, Anna. All right, awesome. So let's first dive into just why your child doesn't listen. And I kind of need to preface this with a story. So when I was little, my parents were really loving most of the time. My father kind of had a parenting philosophy that I really struggled with. Do as I say just because I say it. And if I didn't comply or I had resistance, which was a lot, I was a spirited and feisty little kid, he got really angry. And I really actually remember that anger and that rage really clearly. I remember running to my room and being afraid, hiding behind the door, being afraid of being spanked. And I was also sometimes punished and grounded. And by the time I was 14 years old, it seemed like we were sworn enemies. And I really resented him hugely. I really, I even ran away to a friend's house for a couple nights And we get along now as adults. I love my father deeply. He has many good things that he also passed on to me. But we are, to be honest, our relationship was strained and it was damaged for years. So, um, you know, why was that? It was because of that. It was because it was the basic authoritarian parenting approach that many of us were raised with. Who else grew up in similar circumstances? Put a 2 in the chat if you can relate to this, if you grew up in similar circumstances. And these circumstances, go ahead and do that now. Put that 2 in the chat if you had similar circumstances. But I've talked to so many people I know that we have, and to be honest, this basic authoritarian parenting approach, this is our traditional or habit. This is part and parcel of our traditional and our habitual methods of communicating and holding boundaries with kids. So our traditional methods of communicating, of holding boundaries with kids, they cause, seeing tons of 2s now, they cause this resistance, and almost universally, we parents are using methods of discipline and control that actually kind of backfire. And our children, actually ends up being kind of destructive to the relationship, so that when our kids are adolescents, they're doing kind of what I was doing, right? And this is what happens, right? We erode our influence with our kids when they're young, by using destructive methods. And in fact, most of us really believe that that teen rebellion is like normal and inevitable, but it's not. You can raise children without that turmoil and rebellion in the teen years. They don't have to hate you in the teen years. Because adolescents don't rebel against parents. They rebel against the destructive methods of discipline that are almost universally used. And the erosion of our influence, this starts when our children are young, and we communicate in these ways that our culture has taught us, that my dad used, the voice of my parents coming out of my mouth, right? And then we run out of that enforcement power at adolescence, and that's when we've damaged that relationship. So this, these are some of the reasons, like what's happening with it. So we're going to talk a little bit about what isn't working and why. And I'm going to ask you to be interactive with me here. And you can either write some stuff down on some notes, or you can write it in the chat. So it's really much easier to understand this from the inside out and to put ourselves in the shoes of our children so that we can understand what's happening. So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to pause and take a deep breath in. Long, slow exhale. So I want you to imagine that imagine yourself in the place of a child. Maybe you're about 6 years old. You've left your jacket in the middle of the floor. You're 6. You're already on to some other play. And for the purposes of each of these examples I'm going to give, I want you to write down what your responses are as a 6-year-old child. So remember, you still got your eyes closed, you're breathing, you're a 6-year-old, you've left your jacket on the middle of the floor, and I'm going to respond to you. You're going to tell me how this makes you feel, how you are responding authentically as in the place of that child. Pick that up this instant. I don't want that left here. Pick that up this instant. I don't want that left there. So how does that make you feel? And what kind of thoughts run through your mind? And does it make you excited and wanting to help me as the mom. So I know there's a little delay in our lives, so I'm just going to wait a second for your responses. And we can really see, if as we put this into our own perspective, as we put ourselves in the position of the child, that orders cause resentment. Christina's saying, you pick it up. I'm in the middle of something. Shannon says, it makes me feel like I did something wrong and frustrated. How does it make you feel? And so we can see that orders are causing resentment. Children and everybody resist being told what to do. Nobody likes orders barked at them. The parent is cracking the whip, and the child might want to even save face, right? So that's like Christina's response. You pick it up. I'm in the middle of something, right? So Emma's saying you feel defensive. Anna says taken aback. Yeah. So, a lot of us can feel, as we put ourselves in this position, you can see that it causes this, it's a disconnecting thing. It's causing this resentment. It's not actually very effective to bark these orders. So you can see that, it's not actually very effective. All right, so I'll let a second for a few more responses to come in, and we're going to try another one. And I invite you to think about how often we're ordering every day. Put your shoes on, do the clean dishes, take out your garbage, bring your plate in, right? We often do a lot of barking of orders. All right, so I want you to close your eyes again. Close your eyes again. Take a breath. Settle back in that place. Even if you're just watching on the recording, just take it, close your eyes, put yourself in the place. Remember, you're a 6-year-old child and you're just already onto some other play. And I want you to write down your responses as in the chat as a 6-year-old child, okay? If you don't pick that up right now, I'm going to take away your screen time. If you don't pick that up right now, I'm going to take away your screen time. So, how does this make you feel? How does this make you feel? And what thoughts are running through your head? Beth says, that's not fair. Mad, says Kelly Ann. Right? Like, what's going on, right? You get this feeling of like, this is a jacket, like what's going on? We can see that threatening, this is what I did, I used a threat. It causes the same kind of resistance in a child. Shannon says, defensive and upset. Why? Not fair, right? Not fair. You leave stuff on the floor and you don't get in trouble, right? So this is that same kind of resistance. Your child is feeling coerced and manipulated. And in this case, the child is backed into a corner and they will either resist or they will submit. But either way, the threatening makes the child less likely to voluntarily cooperate in the future. So threatening actually makes your kids less likely to voluntarily cooperate in the future. For those of you who are experiencing this, you can see how this is not so helpful. Now, I need to volunteer for myself right here that like orders and threats, these are the things when I'm not in a, I'm in a reactive place, I have a lot of stress, and I'm in a really frustrating situation. These are the old habits that immediately spring to mind for me because this was the language of my parents. You can give a 1 in the chat if that is the same for you. If you have that same experience of this language comes to you easily because This is like what's in our culture, or it's what was in your culture of origin, which is not your fault. This is just the way it is, right? We just need to work with that. So for me, this is what I'm working with, right? Like this is like these are the thoughts that spring to my mind almost instantly. So Shannon's saying yes, she's getting that too. So yeah, put a 1 in the chat if you have that same experience. So I just want to normalize that. It's really normal for us to have this kind of unskillful communication because this is the language that is around us, and the vast majority of parenting looks like this. Um, so like I said, this is going to be a short live. Let's talk about what you should do instead. Yes? So I'm going to invite you to bring in 2 mind shifts here, right? So instead of thinking about that, how would you ask your mother or your respected auntie to pick up their jacket on the floor? How would you ask them to do it? You might use some very different language. Now, I'm not saying that, yeah, if it's your mother, you might just go pick up that jacket and put it away. No big deal, because you know that they may have just forgotten, right? Your mother may have just forgotten. But with our kids, we have to hold some boundaries around them taking care of their things, right? Because that's part of loving them, is giving them the life skills they need by making sure they do some chores and do some of their pieces around the house. But can you shift your language into what language would you use for a respected auntie? And then also, yes, beautiful. Christina's modeling that right here. When you have a chance, can you please hang up your coat, right? Or Shannon, beautiful, just noticing it. I see the jacket on the floor. Yes, exactly. So we can shift to that, and then we can think about offering them a little space to do that task, right? To not expect them to just like jump up right away and go do it, right? Like robots, because people aren't like that. So we want to just start to allow some of that grace and sort of shift our mindset into there. And then we can start to shift our mindset into, what are we modeling? How can we model respectful communication? Because our kids, we're going to have to repeat things to them again and again and again. This is how life is as a parent, right? We have to repeat things, sometimes the same lessons for a number of years. So how can we model respectful communication? So we go a lot deeper into this in mindful parenting. We talk about, those were 2 of the communication barriers. We talk about 6 different communication barriers, and we have skills sessions where we practice them. But I just wanted to offer you this taste here today. And the practice I want to give you to take home and go with is to this week practice to notice when you are using ordering and threatening. You may find that you are communicating a lot of ordering and you weren't even aware of it. So see if you can just start to notice. And this is the work that we do in mindful parenting, is to really first notice when we're starting to use these 2 communication barriers and the other 4 that we learn in mindful parenting. We have to start to be aware of them before we can start to change them. So start to take notes. When am I using order? When am I ordering and threatening? Okay, so today we talked about why your child isn't listening, why your child doesn't listen to you, why it isn't working, we put ourselves in the place of a child to understand really why it isn't working. And we talked about what you should do instead, and a practice to bring awareness to your daily life. So I want you to head on over to the Mindful Mama Tribe Facebook page, a Facebook group, Mindful Mama Tribe. It's free to join. And I'm going to post a thread there for us to take this discussion further. And you can put in any questions you have, any ahas you may have, or any steps that you are going to take. So I'd love to see your takeaways. Put them in the chat or put them in that group. And I will be back with you on Monday with our 3rd Fresh Start Live, talking about at the same time, same place, talking about never say this to your kids. So this is what we're going to talk about. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.